How's everybody doing? Good to see some familiar faces. Oh, is it cold? You're in the Midwest, right, Doge? It's been yeah, Indiana. It usually doesn't rain in San Francisco, but it has been raining like 2 weeks nonstop here. The city is flooding. Hey, Andrew.
Hello.
Is that is 50 degrees good for Indiana in the winter? That sounds somewhat warm for for the winter. I guess it's slowly becoming spring. It's like it's been 55 to 60 degrees every day here in San Francisco. It's like the weather never changes. It's been rainy, but the weather still never changes. How's Kansas, Evan? Is
It's
it cold?
pretty chilly. It's been like 30s. Like today's nice. It's like 50, but pretty chilly.
That's
Some snow.
Is it freezing?
Right now, no, but it was
Hmm.
last week.
Yeah, I'm glad you got the notification. Cool. Okay, well, wait, and David, where are you located again? Texas? Is Texas cold? You guys are having problems with your grid again, or has that been finally resolved? 72 and sunny. Oh, I'm jealous.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it'll be hot this summer. I got my electric bill. They ratchet up the prices in San Francisco. So I have like a one bed, so it's not very big. It's just me. And the electricity here is 62 cents per kilowatt hour. My power bill is $200 for the month. It's barely colder than it usually is. uh, I'm renting, but if I wanted to buy this, I think it, it would probably cost around 1 million. My last place was around 1 million. I mean, I didn't buy it; I was like renting it, but yeah, there's some nice ones on the market recently. The housing market's taking a bit of a turn. You can get some pretty good stuff for like 2.5 million. I saw one with a pool for 2.5 million. Burgers per leg. 1.2 million would get you a mansion. Well, not in Austin anymore, right? Stuff's expensive in Austin. Oh, okay, we'll do a little
So
bit of
what
a.
we're cooking today?
We're gonna cover just some stuff like the status and then like timelines. Go through a couple open bugs and then I think talk about um, like it's a little bit more casual today. Any bugs or projects or any questions you guys have, and then a little bit of the direction for the next couple weeks, next couple months, uh, and talk about some projects and some changes that we have going on. Uh, so we're down. We were down to 4 pull requests, but we recently got a new pull request. So I think at one point we were at like 50 some pull requests. So things have been closed much faster, which is really good. Some stuff got nixed just because it's very out of date, but needs to be brought back. Just some like CI stuff. If anybody wants to wrench on CI, there's a couple open issues. You know, if you wanted to take a look, I'm nightly docs. Yeah, what's the deal with that? So I added the key, and then removed a bunch of stuff that was breaking like the nightly doc generation. But what is the deal with that?
I think it's still a permission issue. Maybe the key I generated had the wrong permissions. I gave it permissions to the docsite repo. Maybe it doesn't
That
have
should
permissions to
work.
check out, like the normal repo.
But this is trying to push like the docs.rs flavored docs, right? Like the cargo docs.
Yeah, it should be pretty similar to like our old docs generation that was a custom MD book, but it's just the docs.rs version.
Yeah. So okay, when will V5 05 be officially released? So we're like at a feature complete stage, and I think we're working through most of the bugs. There's a few little things, but like there's nothing technically blocking the 0.5 release right now. The main issues are actually just docs, from what I can tell. And I think like it's kind of spread out over two things. So one is this PR, and I guess Evan, is there anything I can help with? This seems like all the check marks are done.
Yeah, it's done. I think I need to like mess with it getting deployed because there's some changes in like how we do static generation, but it's built and it's hosted on my like fork. If anybody wants to like read through the new docs, see if there's any issues.
Oh, really? Okay. Then today was gonna be like messing around in CI for me, so maybe this is. So when we merge this, do we get a nightly folder in the generated site?
This just gives you a 0.5 folder.
Okay, that's fine. So it won't overwrite the 0.4 folder. Like we get different folders now.
I'm not sure if I actually bumped the version yet. Like all the content is done, but some of the stuff around generation and making sure it's like generating into the right folder, I still need to work on.
Okay. Yeah, because we haven't done a version bump using the folder stuff yet, from what I can understand. Right? We haven't put like a nightly out or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a little afraid just to like merge this for the sake of merging it, because I have a feeling it will just like overwrite 0.4, or the site will be broken in some mysterious way. Um, are we saving duplicates of the docs, or are we having one docs and just deploying into the same folder on GitHub pages?
There should be like a 0.4 folder and then a 0.5 folder or a nightly folder. And then it's like all deployed to GitHub. So if you want to restore to some version, that should still work. And then there are duplicates for like major versions.
Okay, so the markdown itself, the .md files are duplicated.
So I was thinking the markdown files are duplicated but in branches. So if we change a specific part of the markdown and we want to patch an old version, you can go to the branch.
Okay, will they both merge on top of each other? They should, right? When you go to deploy, we just like wipe the old 0.4 and then we generate the 0.4.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I need to take a look at this. So yeah, I mean the main blocker for 0.5 is that. The other is like collect assets as a Git link. It uses GitHub, so I can't really put out a pre-release even without docs at the moment. So either we make Magnanus, or we rename it to something. I never know where to put the N in the word Magnanus. Is there like an alternative name we can?
Yeah. Sure. We can rename it to something else. Collect assets is
I mean, what?
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like some stuff, Dioxus assets, like include CSS. I think like if we kept some of the, like you have include string, include bytes. I feel like to keep the standard lib pattern, you would do like include CSS or like include image. Maybe that limits the type of assets we can. Well, include asset.
Yeah, the
We
reason
could
they're
think about it.
functions, they're in like a builder, so you get autocomplete from the builder, which is why it's
Mm-hmm.
all like wrapped in MG and then the like asset type inside, because that expands to like literally just what's inside, and then side effects happen where you like write to files, but that lets us get like autocomplete. Whereas if it was include assets, you couldn't really do a builder API. You could do like something custom inside, but it's a little bit more difficult to document that. You could do like
Maybe
this.
asset. Yeah. I I don't like I get that MG is shorter, but I don't think it's like discoverable. You know, if I was like searching through the docs trying to find a way to do an asset, it just wouldn't pop out to me, I guess.
Yeah, I think like MG could be renamed to whatever. It's kind of nice that it's short, but I do
Mm-hmm.
think like the builder API is nice to document what syntax is valid within the macro. So
And
if
I
it's
guess
like,
like some feedback here. So you and I were chatting in this like 1955 thing. I would this make sense as an API to support? I feel like people would like it, but I don't know if it's straightforward. So like including a style, you would just put the style element. Is that even possible to support? Mark. Yeah, the 1955 stuff. Uh, so you were saying we could support that? Oh, I think I lost it. Yeah, so I guess for some people who've joined, we're talking about some of the stuff that's blocking the 0.5 release, and the main thing are the docs, which we've put in here, and then figuring out what we're going to do about the collect assets crate. So the assets crate is like a LinkedIn via GitHub, and we can't do a pre-release or even an official release, so we have to stabilize it. And it's like, what are the final details there? We could put it out unstable or like feature flagged. Yeah. Right now, the two main things are like the naming and the API. I think it integrates well with the command line at the moment. So if you edit CSS, it should hot reload. I haven't put around with it too much.
it doesn't do that yet, but in the assets PR, there's like some, or in the plugins PR, there's some work to make that possible.
Are we going to try and get the plugins in? Is that feasible? Or
The
is it still like
0.5, it's still a little ways out. Uh, it's like pretty close, but I'm not sure if it's the final API we would want if the plan is to not make breaking changes to it in the next release.
mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything that depends deeply on collect assets for 0.5? Like we haven't shipped anything that builds on it, right?
It's nice for like component libraries, but nothing internally relies on it. There's like some stuff in the CLI that integrates with it, but most of the code is in the collect assets repo.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll we'll leave the collect assets like flag as an unstable flag. That way it's like semver exempt and we can mess with it. I think Tokyo does that by you have to pass a Rust flag to it to do the asset stuff. Or I mean I forget which one does the. I think it's Tokyo that does like Tokyo unstable with the Rust flags. That way we can leave it in but it's not blocking. I think it would be really cool to support the like you just add a style tag and then that gets launched, but that would have to probably be a command line plugin.
I think like the asset optimization doesn't matter as much. The nice thing is the like cross-platform paths was really missing, and now that we have like the
Mhm.
launch builder API, it's kind of a big missing piece.
The assets being the missing piece.
A way to like link to an asset that works on desktop and web. Like you can do desktop, you can do web. In web, you link it through like the dioxus.toml file, and then desktop you can link to the file, and you have to like manually bundle everything as well.
Yeah. It sounds like we could release it mid-cycle. We wouldn't have to break much. Just well, a command line tool, but the CLI is like allowed to break as long as like its config doesn't break. Like it kind of is anchored to a different version. It's kind of just like the forward-facing API.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at least working on the stylo stuff, it would be really cool to have hot reloading CSS for that. not like we need it for that, but it would be really cool to like you're editing your CSS and the page updates live, and it's definitely something we could do right now. But I guess we would want to do that through a plugin.
I think if we're mapping paths, it couldn't be a plugin. It'd have to be something built into the RSX. But some of the stuff for reloading assets is in the plugin PR right now. We could pull that out.
Okay. Well, I don't want it to block 0.5. I think it's just basically the docs and cleaning up some APIs. There's some like async stuff that probably needs fixed and a couple tests, but other than that, 0.5 I think is good to go.
Collect assets isn't in the plugin PR, Andrew. It's already in the main repo, or like the integration is in the CLI. It's just a way to like include whatever assets you want, and it will get bundled and optimized automatically. Then the paths work on like desktop and web.
Another cool thing that was shipped, which I think we kind of moved forward in the schedule, was like your PR, Evan, that we ended up like just nixing and then bringing back in. So server functions are now updated to the most recent version, which allows you to do streaming. We have WASM support as well, I think. You can correct me, but I think you can do this on Cloudflare workers. Is that true, Evan?
Yeah, we don't have all of the like, boilerplate generated for you for Cloudflare, but WASM Axum should work.
So what else does that all the server like the new server function stuff bring?
It's cross-platform middleware, and I think some like request-specific stuff for each adapter is fixed. So if you have like middleware built into the request or something, that data will still be there and you can extract it. And then the middleware from Tower is now like upstreamed, so we can share it with Leptos. But the main thing is like different encodings are traits now. So you can do streaming and not just JSON encoding, you can do binary encoding or choose make your own encoding.
Are there plans like on the Leptos end to have WebSockets and SSE and hooks and stuff like that?
I don't think I've discussed that with him yet, but that's something I would like to work on.
Yeah, I think now that this is in and we've kind of dropped Salvo, we dropped Warp. So we had support for the alternative libraries. And again, I'm not huge on Axum. I think sometimes the errors are a little wonky, but you can use Axum in a typical like it takes a request, it returns a response mode, which is cool. Like it's what you need it to do. But now we can ship things. If we stick just on Axum, we can ship things like WebSockets, progressively enhanced forms, like all the other more fancy full stack web stuff. Much faster, right? Because now we don't have to be generic over a library using traits.
Server functions are still generic over Axum and Actix, so it should be pretty easy if we want like if a third-party library wants to support one of those.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then yeah, I don't think we're gonna do the live view as a full stack thing yet, but that is like the longer term vision. It to like next live view as its own renderer and then integrate it into SSR, so some component, or I guess full stack, so some components can be live or your entire app can be live. Okay, so that I think that's it for full stack. Where islands, you're thinking like 0.6, 0.7. I don't think we have a focus for 0.6 yet. Probably the asset stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping the asset stuff won't take a whole lot of time because most of like the optimization stuff is there. It's just kind of figuring out what the API looks like, making sure it's consistent with like static and dynamic assets. But the head stuff could take a lot longer. And then not sure what else.
Oh, 0.5 is signals, 0.6 is CLI plus assets. And we're saying 0.7 is like full stack overhaul. And then native, like V1 kind of needs to fit into fits into one of these. Yeah, so kind of one of the other interesting projects that we have in parallel is the Stylo Dioxus stuff, and like Nico's gonna be working on this, which is really, really cool. Well, we need to do more of a formal like announcement / blog post. But I posted something to Off Topic today. React Native is doing their overhaul. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, Nico left. He was here for a second. I don't know if Nico saw it, but it's very similar in the direction that we're taking with the Stylo Dioxus stuff. And it's going to be like a new desktop / mobile renderer that is like fully native. So it uses the GPU. It's using Velo and all their like native stack, and it's stealing just the Firefox engine, like for CSS resolution. So at some point, I need to mainline the work in the crate. I kind of want to give a little demo if I can get it open. Yeah, let me share my screen real quick. So this is like the very raw beginning. So we have a project called Blitz already. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. We have a project called Blitz, which is the beginnings of this. Evan did a lot of the work in figuring out how to render with Velo. I put that in here. Here, I'll put it over here. There's no images. I don't think there's any assets. No, okay, we just have our logo. This is a very interesting project. Yeah, where's the
working, but
oh no, I mean like a photo of it working.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so this is like the new iteration of it that's using the Firefox engine. So you can just include like bare CSS. Where's Flex? GitHub's some dark matter. You can just include like bare CSS with the like GPU renderer. So right now it's using, we're using class selectors, we're using ID selectors, we can do display, grid, flex, all the stuff you'd expect, outline, shadow. And if I actually run this, provided it builds in a reasonable amount of time. yeah, we're a little heavy on the dependencies. Gonna have to trim some of this down. Yeah, so this is, everything's rendered on the GPU. It's like a HTML and CSS renderer using Firefox for layout. One of them is broken. Space evenly is not working the way it should be. Like if you're familiar with Flexbox, these should be spaced evenly. Like space around will divide the area. Space evenly will make sure all of the space between all the elements are equal. This is a bug in Servo that needs to get fixed. But this will be like the next iteration of desktop mobile if you want to use it. So it won't be a web view, which some people say is cheating. I think it's a very practical choice to like do the web view approach because you can like bring in JavaScript libraries and stuff. But this is very similar to the approach that the React Native team is taking. Not the same. They're using native elements and we're using like GPU drawn elements. But this is going to be a priority. Nico's going to be working on this for the next couple months, getting this to a more interactive and usable state. JavaScript bindings, Python bindings, kind of making it usable outside of the normal stuff that we do. But yeah, if you haven't seen this demo, it's pretty cool. You can, this doesn't support images yet. There's a lot of work that you did, Evan, for yours that I haven't brought in yet. But it can kind of render the Google homepage. I'll go run. Kind of. It's missing a few things, but you know, it almost looks like the Google homepage. Inline. It feels like Race to the Moon, but React first. Yeah, we're like reinventing web browsers. This is being powered by Taffy. There's a little bit of artifacting. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, but this is like the Google homepage, kind of. It's missing some inline layout pieces, which is why you see like Gmail images, all this kind of being weird, and this also being weird. And then the space evenly flex attributes not working and images aren't working. But all those are relatively small details compared to what you're getting here, which is like a true HTML and CSS renderer with like native text rendering. So yeah, this is, we're reviving this project to an extent for the next couple months and trying to make it useful. I think the Dino folks are really interested in this project. So not just Dioxus as a consumer, but kind of the entire world if we can get it. Yeah. Cool. So that's that. We have the general direction. Signals for 0.5. End of February is like the release target, provided docs can get out the door and we make some a little bit more pragmatic decisions. 0.6 being the command line tool assets. Probably not all the features we want. Like I know, Dej, you've been like exploring what the overhauled command line tool is going to look like. So probably not everything we want in that, but definitely a lot more. And then the full stack overhaul. And that, I think that should get us to like the middle of the year with all the work that goes into this. Or by the... But Evan, is there like anything you want to add that we've been working on recently that I haven't covered?
I think mostly it's been docs kind of stuff. So you pretty much covered it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions or stuff they want to talk about? Questions about what's next or stuff they're working on and they want to do a little show and tell? How old do you have to be to play bingo? Income is gambling. Yeah, Andrew, I'm also waiting for the plugin PR. I think we're gonna do the 0.5 release and then really focus on that. The Vite stuff is super interesting in like the view land. Kind of everything is built on top of Vite these days, and I'm also very interested in like hot reloading, like the CSS and Tailwind. Mark, is the snack bar stuff like part of Freya itself, or is that built on top of like Dioxus? That's cool. Someone was working in general something really cool. Like let me copy the link. I thought this was really cool. Like the grid thing someone's been working on.
I did remember one other thing before 0.5 gets released, or maybe a caveat when 0.5 gets released, is mobile is currently not working because of some upstream bugs in either Rye or Cargo Mobile.
Oh, uh-oh. Is there a playwright for mobile that we can run in the command line or in CI?
I don't know. It should be.
Because of like Cargo Mobile's broken?
I think it might be Rye because Cargo Mobile works with Rye less than 0.34, and then after 0.34, when they introduced like Winit in Teo and like pulled out first party support for a windowr, then it broke. This is Android. I haven't tested iOS.
They also maintain Cargo Mobile too, right?
Yeah, that's what I was using.
Okay. I do see updates getting pushed to that. I would love. So, does our hot reloading does it work for mobile as well, like the IPC stuff?
No, I think because they don't have the same. Well, I'm not sure exactly how the emulator works, but I imagine it doesn't have the same like file system. So file system sockets wouldn't work.
Hmm. I was like digging around for IPC libraries recently, and I found one that is they have plans to get it to work on iOS, or I think it works on iOS. They have plans to get it to work on Android. It might be worth looking at. The one we use, we're using my like republished version of theirs, the interprocess. Yeah, I would love to get off that, but I think it still breaks when you try to build its docs. Where's Cargo Mobile 2? They updated Cargo Mobile 2 2 days ago.
They did, but I tested like a couple days ago, so I don't think it's fixed. I don't know. There's been an issue open
They,
since December.
they published a new version 2 days ago. I wonder if that did anything. The development team configuration is now optional. Okay, I don't think that fixes it. Did they update Rye?
They're still using Rye 28, which works in the template. It's just once you update from Rye 28 to 35, then it breaks.
I don't like having to keep updating Rye. I feel like every version we have to update Rye. At some point, it'd be nice to just hide it all the Rye stuff. but we do make Rye part of the public API, so it gets in the way. Yeah, progress on the 0.5 blog post. I've been writing some stuff for it. I feel between like the CI hacking today docs and then some blog writing, I'll see if I can get that done today. You probably want to contribute to it as well, Evan. The 0.5 post.
Yeah.
I feel like you wrote something for it at some point.
I might have. I don't remember. Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that.
Yeah, because we also need to put it on the website. Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna tweak some CSS on the website. I think we also need to fix like the spacing between the sentences. Is that as easy just as like inserting a space between the stuff that we generate?
I think it's pretty easy, but not entirely fair. There's like a couple different layers because we go through like a markdown parser and then to HTML. So I don't know what the markdown parser exposes.
Okay. Yeah, I think the 0.5 blog post will be out in the form of a Notion doc, hopefully today or tomorrow. It's kind of like top priority next to docs, and then a couple bug fixes. We ended up merging a lot more stuff recently as well, like the new server functions. So a lot to talk about for sure. And then we also moved the TUI to Ratatouille in this version as well, right, Evan?
I think so. Yeah, it uses Ratatouille. It doesn't like use much from Ratatouille, but it is there. We mostly just use the rendering, so we don't even have to use Ratatouille. We could just render to the terminal.
Okay. But did they give us like input and stuff, right? You can click on things.
We use cross-term for input, if I remember right.
Oh,
We don't use
you
any of their
pair
widgets.
Ratatouille. And then it might be worth. We'll take a look. The Blitz DOM stuff, ideally, we can integrate into the TUI. Though after having played with the TUI bit, the HTML and CSS aspect of it is a little confusing. Or like, I think you would more like want to reach for terminal native widgets. We have terminal native widgets for TUI, right? Are they exposed in Blitz as well?
No, it's just for TUI. Just the UI is going to look different between the two, probably.
Yeah.
But there is like a way to do widgets exposed in Blitz.
Yeah, the signal stuff is huge. I'm glad we finally did it, Evan. I know we were talking about it like over the summer, but it it looks way better. Yeah, a lot of the demos come together a lot better too.
Yeah. Still some like bugs to iron out, but I'm excited for it.
I think something memo is lazy, therefore it's like out of date. That needs to be fixed. Yeah, I think we're like marking memos as dirty, but we still just need to like recompute them when you go to measure them. I think that requires like the graph to be resolved or something. There's some work there that needs to be fixed. Oh, and yeah, when you unmount a component, it like reads the memo before unmounting it or something like that. Like it gets scheduled in even though you're dropping it, and that causes a panic. Just like these kind of little tiny bugs that need to be fixed with tests.
Yeah.
I one of the big things we did was like add a little bit of comments to the top of every example. So hopefully like going through the examples are better. I would still love more examples, more useful examples. I think a lot of these are very like desktop specific, and there's some more complex interactions we'd want to showcase. So if you guys, I know we asked for it last time, and someone actually made a really good PR that brought in a lot of the example projects into the examples folder in the main Dioxus repo. But if you guys have more of these that we can add, that's something that would be good for the 0.5 release. One of them, if anyone wants to play around with it, is actually like the login form example doesn't actually spin up like a login server. It would be very interesting if this actually spun up a login server that you could test against it. We have the Axum like dependency available in the example, so it should be pretty straightforward to do like Axum auth, and then like the server does the request. But I think forms have a couple little tweaks that need to happen. Like on input right now is not working on forms for desktop.
Yeah, we need to think a little bit about how we do that because it's very different from like browser behavior. If you like click on a specific form element, you get on input for the whole form.
Mm-hmm. And in the
Browsers
browser,
like
you don't.
yeah, because you just have to go to each element manually or take the form data and read that. It isn't built into the event.
Oh, yeah. Like when you do on input on a form, it doesn't give you the values. Is that that's kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it gives you like a value, but it doesn't give you the values for the things you aren't changing. So like if I do on input on username, it doesn't give me the password value.
Oh, well, we have dot value and dot values. So can value give you the one that you edited, and dot values give you everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
we just have to be
At some
careful
point,
about like being explicit where we are deviating from browser behavior because right now we don't document a lot of that. So it's kind of defaulted to, it's kind of like the browser API. If we're deviating from that, keeping that minimal is probably good. It might be worth it here, but then we need to document it better as well.
hmm. Oh yeah, and then also on submit on desktop, what is that supposed to do? Is that a GET request like it is in the browser? That has to integrate with the router somehow, right? Like when you submit a form on desktop.
Right now, I'm not sure what it does when you don't have an event handler. If you have an event handler, we prevent default, I think, so that you don't get redirected to somewhere. But at some point, like exposing the form through a router or a type safe form, there's an API I think Mark was playing around with a while ago that looked nice.
Yeah, are we? I guess on the roadmap for full stack, like 0.7 is probably a form component.
Yeah,
That does all that, like it's progressive and it integrates with the router. Would that be an extension of like the router crate or a separate thing?
I think probably part of the router crate, maybe behind a, it could be part of the router crate, and then the full stack feature integrates some progressive enhancement stuff.
Oh, you have a use form hook. Oh, is it just open? Wait, Mark, why are there 16 PRs open on Freya? Are you waiting on us? I've never like made 16 PRs against my own. Yeah. Well, it went up between now and then. I think it was like 14 last time. 16 is quite well, we were at 50 something at one point. I'm glad we're past that. You see that Was it WebKit is switching to Skia, Mark? Well, at least the one Agalia pushes out there. I don't know if Agalia WebKit. I don't know. I was talking to Raph about this, who maintains Velo, like the one we're using in Blitz, and he had some thoughts on it. Velo's young, but they have some very smart people on making it really, really fast. Like it's all done on the GPU. Yeah, I know. Switching to Skia for WebKit. Surprised they did this. Oh, also in my dog fooding a little bit. Do we have a good solution for head, like the helmet stuff, Evan? Are we ever gonna like mainline any of that rather than have it be a hook slash crate thing?
Yeah, I think that was part of the discussion with like getting assets finalized. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of want part of that to be cons. There's an issue open, but I think it should be integrated into something kind of core-ish instead of an external library.
Yeah, because we kind of need to set like a page title, like all the different aspects we need to set on all the different platforms, and having a hook do it is, yeah, we kind of need special elements.
I don't know if it should be special elements because we want to do it before we render on some renderers. On like the web renderer, if you're doing just a pure like spa application, then you want to do it at compile time if possible, so you get like meta attributes injected into the head.
Like SEO.
Yeah,
Okay, this don't have to solve it for 0.5, but I think it would be good to solve this as soon as possible. Yeah, it should go along with the CLI assets system because it kind of has all the same intricacies of, you put this like title element and this needs to be available at compile time.
yeah.
Oh, colorizing. Color. Like adding color makes the docs dull, or the current colors in the docs are dull. Are we using Syntect for highlighting, or are we using like Prism?
No, using Syntect, Prism was too big to ship.
Too big to
Like
ship.
good page
Are we shipping
analytics.
like 12 megabytes?
We're down to
Yeah,
like
we need.
2 megabytes or something. But
Wait, is Syntect being shipped to the client? I remember it being really, really slow on the client last time I played
no,
with
it's
it.
completely a compile time.
Okay, all right. The stuff we're doing there is kind of insane. It would be great if that was like a plugin. uh,
Yeah, the
I don't
reason
know.
we're
The
doing it all at
CLI,
compile times
like,
is so you can like inject components. But once we have islands, it might make sense to switch away from that.
is Islands going to require any like core changes, or you think it's just going to be like a new macro, like a new
I think
attribute
it will
on
require
components?
core changes because it's like inverted of a new macro. We need all existing components to opt out of the client, and then any new components with the macro opt in. So we're going to need to change like the component macro.
Mm, okay, and we're going client first as the priority, right? Rather than like the React model where it's like server first and you do use client. We're doing like it's basically use server.
I was thinking everything is run on the server by default, and then you opt into client.
Does that mean we need like async components? Which we can do now. But
I don't think so. I think it's just like you have all of your root components are automatically server only, unless you put like a client component macro on it, and then that runs it on the client.
okay. We'll take a look. I'm sure that we should probably sit down and design this at some point. We'll have like a little design session. We kind of need 2 or 3 design sessions. We had one good design session for this, like the CLI interface overhaul. But we'll need one for, I think, maybe the plugins to an extent, and then the full stack changes.
I don't even remember what theme we're using on the doc site. We could just pick one of the ones that are built into Syntax.
Where are you guys getting this? Is this the pre-build on your site, the migration guide? What's the link for this? Oh, you already pushed the migration guide. Oh, this is for 0.4. Or you push this under.
That's for 0.5. It's under the 0.4 URL.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, mine is colorful. Well, not super colorful in some spots. You can play around with it. Kind of just a general question. So we have use hook, provide context, spawn, RSX. Is there, like, these are kind of like globbed into the global namespace? Should we hide them? Like require like Dioxus spawn or something like that? Okay. Because we have quite a few that are just being globbed in that aren't that great. We have a lot. Did we shrink that down? No, I mean, we have suspend, spawn forever, remove future, generation, parent scope. Do you think some of the more niche ones we should hide behind like a module?
Spawn is like used a lot. Quite a few of the hook ones are used a lot, but they do also conflict with like spawn from Tokyo.
Maybe like an RT dot spawn or RT spawn.
Maybe that wouldn't be too bad compared to CX, I guess. You still don't have to pass CX around.
Yeah, like there's still a CX object. Well, right now we're doing this like RT with thing. You could have just like a struct RT and then impl spawn on that. FN. Well, maybe. Or maybe just hide behind hide some of the more niche ones behind a module. Like how often do you use like remove future and generation and all that? One thing I'm much happier about is like the core code is a lot cleaner these days. I can grok most of it and there's no unsafe. We're able to like remove the Miri requirement and all that. Oh, For mapped, we still have to call clone on it, I think. Like the map signal stuff. Should we just dump that into a copy hook, like a copy state, so we don't need to do that, or is that not feasible?
It needs to be cloned because that is created at runtime in random places, unlike a hook. So if we make it copy with the like copy value thing, then we leak.
Well, that might be okay, but it's like because it's like tied to the key. Can we reclaim it when the key is dropped, or like the thing that's being selected is dropped on, or is the expectation that it doesn't work like that?
Well, you'd reclaim it after the like scope is dropped.
But if you're in a component and you're like calling it in the body of a component, you rerun that component 100 times, you're leaking 100 objects.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it as clone for now. Hopefully, it's not that frequently used, or like you can like use hook it, you know, so it always just gives you like, or like use copy value it, so it always gives you the recent version.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else people have that they want to talk about or bring up, or projects or just stuff on the radar they're excited for? Neon sign. Oh yeah, we need a cute logo, or like a cute animal. Bun has like their little dumpling. We need something cute for Dioxus. I think the Dioxus dude we have is kind of scary. Yeah. Maybe we'll make like a plushy version of him.
Slightly copyrighted.
Yeah, I don't want to get sued by Nintendo. I feel like those are the wrong people to mess with.
Yeah. Wait, I have to leave, but I'll like check back on the chat later if there's anything interesting.
Yeah, yeah, me too. If anybody's got any final questions, go ahead and ask them, and then we'll end it on time today, which is a rarity. Thanks, Evan. Computer crash render. Whenever you make it, Doge. I'm sure it's possible. I mean, it can't be that much work, can it? Okay, guys. Well, yeah, the computers are running the. All right, if there's nothing else, I'm a hop off. Thank you guys for coming. Hopefully, by the next time we have office hours, or at least according to schedule, by the next time we have office hours, 0.5 will be released. It'll be stable. We'll probably have a first version already out after it that we have like hot fixes and patches into. But yeah, in 2 weeks, 0.5 should be out, and we should be working on bigger and better things. Yeah. All right. See you guys.